We're joined today by Thomas West, Republican candidate for mayor of Pittsburgh. Why are you seeking this office?
There are many reasons why I'm seeking this office. Right now, I'm a small business owner in the city of Pittsburgh. I've lived in the city for decades now. And my eyes opened. There's a couple reasons why. Public safety is the main reason. My partner and I used to live downtown Pittsburgh, and we were assaulted a couple years ago. And that opened my eyes to the problem that we have with public safety. And that was the catalyst that got me thinking that something was up with the city that needed to be corrected. Besides that, I'm a small business owner in the city of Pittsburgh. I've loved the city of Pittsburgh my entire life. Ask anybody I went to college with in Vermont. It was nonstop talking about the city of Pittsburgh. They got tired of it. But ever since I was in the early 90s, I graduated high school in 94, went off to college. I've always been told the city of Pittsburgh is going to be the next best thing. We're going to overcome the steel industry. We're going to hit back hard. People are going to come to our city. We're going to live in this city, make it the best city possible. And ever since the early 90s, you've been hearing that if you lived in the city of Pittsburgh. And we just haven't made it. It's like empty promises. And I could either sit around and complain about it, or I could jump in and try to solve the issues that we're facing and grow this city again. So I did. Same thing I did with my business. I jumped in with 2 feet, was in TV news, became an entrepreneur. I'm like, let's just get this done. And I'm not a politician. I'm a newcomer. I've been called a newcomer. So I have some ideas. I want to think differently and change how things work in the city of Pittsburgh.
How would you describe yourself politically?
Fiscally, I'm conservative. I'm a business owner. You have to watch every penny. You have to make things work. And if something doesn't work, you can't be scared to change course. You have to be open to ideas. You have to hear how, from people who live in your district. Part of how I grew my business is I listened to my customers. I heard what they wanted. I heard, it kind of guided me. And if you listen to your customer, which in the city would be your taxpayers and your businesses, it's all about making the city work. And that's exactly, what I want to do is make the city work. And then I'm a gay man. I have a partner of 14 years. It'll be 15 years in October. And so in some sense, I'm a liberal when it comes to social issues. Not all, but some of them I'm more liberal on. But in the Republican Party, if you know anyone in the Republican Party, especially locally, and you talk to them, they're pretty much socially liberal. They're conservative. They want to make the city work. They're asking, for real results that will move families and the city forward. So that's why, I joined the Republican Party. Fiscally, I'm right there with them. There's some issues that we have, socially, very few, but we discuss and we debate. And I've been accepted with open arms. So here I am now, a mayoral candidate for the city of Pittsburgh.
Now, you briefly mentioned you have an early career in broadcasting, and then additionally, you're a small business owner. How would those experiences translate over to serving as mayor?
So you learn a lot. So time management, working in TV news. If you know anyone who works in TV news, you live your life second by second by second, and things can change on a dime. I would get up, live, breathe news. I would get up, put my show together for 9 hours a day. If you have breaking news that happens, you have to get not only your show changed in just a matter of minutes, and sometimes while you're on the air, you got to get everybody who's involved in that show on board in just like minutes. So when it comes to my TV news career, that helped me just with time management and getting and working under pressure, under stress, and getting it done. You're going on the air. There's no like, oh, give me 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and I'll be there. No, you're on the air now. So that I took that with me. And what's so funny is when I own a men's retail store here in the city of Pittsburgh. So an entrepreneur, I own a men's retail store. When I started, I'm so used to getting things done, like a snap of a finger, that when I started working with vendors for certain brands and they would email me, I'd get right back to them. It was interesting because they just kept saying, wow, we're not used to somebody, getting things done or responding immediately. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I'm used to. So I take both of that and running my own business. I oversee employees. I oversee, building out my business. In the retail business, the only thing I did retail was I worked for Abercrombie back in '99, and that was for a period of 3 months. And that was while I was working my first job in TV news. So I was doing 2 jobs at once. And so it's so funny running your business. You have to get things done. You have to listen to your customers. So all that together has made me in a mindset where I'm just all about getting things done. You're looking for things that are new. You're looking for new ways of doing things because you have to be competitive all the time, which I want to bring the competitiveness back to the city of Pittsburgh. It's been too long that we haven't been competitive. I mean, we've been losing population since 1960. We've been losing businesses since pretty much about that same time. The collapse of the steel industry obviously did not help, but that was 40 years ago. So we need to think differently, and I want to be competitive again. And I want Pittsburgh to be where it was back in the day when it comes to, our legendary status.
How would your knowledge of the media help you as a public servant?
First of all, transparency. So one of the things is transparency. We do not have transparency in the city government right now. We just don't. Part of the problem is for the last 100 years, we've had a one-party system in the city of Pittsburgh. So, and this is not a slight toward Democrats at all, because there's a lot of good Democrats out there who have good ideas, and many of them are my friends. I have friends across the political spectrum. But there's no transparency. And working in TV news, I know how hard it was to get a response from city government. Things happen or seem to happen behind closed doors that you wake up one morning and the residents of the city, the business owners of the city, were taken aback because all of a sudden it's like, bam, here's a new ordinance. We've been discussing this for a year or two. You don't know about it, but we're going to tell you about it, boom, 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 real quick, and you can make a decision. Well, that happens way too often in the city of Pittsburgh. Right now, there's a I don't want to say a fight, but there's a battle with the police chief in the city of Pittsburgh. We've had, I think, 5 in the last administration. A lot of that could have been stopped if there was transparency in city government. So I think working in the media, I understand the importance of media. I am not only old media, new media, any media you can think of, because that's how you get the message out there. And you just have to be in touch with the public in your city. And I think working in TV news, like I said, I know how to deal with that. I know the importance of it. And there won't be a time that I will make sure that the transparency is front and center.
You had mentioned public safety was one of your primary concerns. What can be done to reduce crime in the city?
Well, part of the problem we have right now is that the Pittsburgh police force is way understaffed. We are hundreds of police officers below what we should be right now. And this is something that has started with cutting the police budget. I mean, before even the present administration. So, but we need to up our police presence. They're either police officers are retiring early, they're leaving the police force. And part of the problem is morale is at an all-time low for our police department. You ask any police officer that's out there, and they'll tell you that. They'll also tell you things that they think will help improve the police department and get more people hired. The problem is these police officers are not being listened to. There are things that can be done almost immediately. There's some things that can be done long-term to get more people on the force. And if we just listen to them, we can work this out. A lot of the crime is happening in the city of Pittsburgh, and it's not just police force, which police officers are great. I mean, they put their lives on the line every day for people they don't even know. But the problem is our city policies, and this comes back to economic. Our city policies have left complete neighborhoods behind, completely forgotten neighborhoods for decades, and that just can't happen. So when you have neighborhoods that are left behind for decades, their economic the promise of what can be completely evaporates, and you lose sense of yourself, you lose sense of your community, you lose sense of your family, and it's a falling downhill battle. So police are only part of it, but you have to bring economics back to forgotten neighborhoods, and that's what we have not done. We have not been competitive, and we keep losing our population, which is just desolating, making these neighborhoods desolate. I would like to see entrepreneurs have a huge hand in reestablishing these neighborhoods. These neighborhoods have a legendary past. We just have to get back in there. I'm an entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurship. I think we should get younger people involved in entrepreneurship. I think, if you start that in every neighborhood and you start with high schoolers, you can help transform these neighborhoods that have been left behind. So police, that's one thing. Public safety is a definite. You have to have public safety in your city. If you don't have public safety in your city, you don't have a city, because people won't want to live in it. People won't want to visit it. But we have to focus on the economic health of these neighborhoods that have been left behind for far too long.
Can you identify a little bit more about who do you feel has been left behind and what can the city do to provide better support?
So I think which neighborhoods haven't been left behind? I think what you'll find out is there are certain neighborhoods that aren't left behind. And those are the ones where they're wealthier neighborhoods. They're the ones where Oakland, where universities are. Downtown has even been left behind. If you've paid attention to any of the developments that have been happening downtown, especially after COVID, I mean, it's emptying out and people don't want to come back downtown. Now, there's a lot of emphasis being put on downtown for good reason, because that's your profile of a city, right? And there's a lot of money being dumped into it. But like I said, you can put all the money you want into a certain neighborhood like downtown. But if the perception is that it's not safe, people are not going to come down there no matter what. But if you have money in a neighborhood, you'll get attention. If you don't have money in a neighborhood, or you're more working class, your jobs don't exist. Your neighborhoods have been left behind. And it's almost like there's a list of things that need to be done for these certain neighborhoods, and they never get checked off. And if you ask anybody who live in these neighborhoods, they will tell you, we have been left behind. It's a continuous fight with City Hall to try to get things done. Meantime, you have other neighborhoods that, they get put on a list and things seem to be done quicker. But yeah, so there are more, I would say there are more neighborhoods left behind than there are not. And if you just think about how much promise there are in these neighborhoods. I mean, at one point, our city was close to 700,000 people. Now, in 2025, we are at 302,000 as of 2020. So 302,000 people. If we drop 2 more thousand people, we are now a third-tier city, which causes even more issues going forward. So we need to start. I mean, we need somebody in here who owns a business, has been part of the business community, who wants to get things done. I feel like we keep electing the same core type of people, and that's why nothing is done. They'll come up with these promises about, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and they'll tell you whatever you want to hear just to get into office. And then when it happens, nothing happens. The neighborhoods are left behind still, and it's just the endless cycle. So I'm here as someone new, putting my neck out on the line. I own a business, as a Republican, trying to get this stuff done. And it's a lot of people vote on what letter is next to your name. And I'm trying to let people know, think about policies. Think about the last 100 years, the last 60 years, and what we can be. There's so much promise in this city. We just have to wake up and take advantage of the promises that are out there. And that starts with economic vitality for each neighborhood.
I'd like to talk a little bit about housing. Perhaps this is a two-part question. Why has the city had a difficult time keeping up with the housing need, and what could be done to bring more affordable housing to Pittsburgh?
Well, I think if you ask, everyone has a different definition of affordable housing. And there's many different plans out there being floated. I think what needs to happen is, so you can have the conversation all you want for affordable housing, but the second part of the conversation is jobs. So I was a poor kid growing up. We were poor. I know what it's like to be poor, but I also know what it takes to get out of poverty. It's a lot of hard work, but if you allow jobs to come in and you're open for business in your city, Pittsburgh is 55 square miles. Okay, we're not huge land mass, so we have like 90 neighborhoods, 55 square miles. If you focus as much attention on affordable housing, on jobs, we can make these jobs that are livable wages so that people can't not get trapped in renting from affordable housing. And I think that's part of the problem. The conversation ends at affordable housing and what we can do to get these, get families who need homes into homes. But we never talk about the second part, which is allowing them to afford these homes by working, in these jobs that pay well. We have been anti-business for far too long. And I think it all comes back. Everything's interconnected. So economically, if you make it to where families can work and survive and have a great lifestyle, affordable housing, the need for affordable housing will fall. Because just for example, right now we're just finding out that the county, Allegheny County, may not have, they're ending voucher programs for families, Section 8 vouchers, which obviously the city's part of the county, but because they're running out of money. So there's only a certain amount of money that you have for affordable housing. I also feel like we could team up with organizations. I've been talking to organizations that they renovate homes and they will allow lease options for families to come in to build generational wealth. So you'll have families who can come in, pay their rent, and pay a little bit toward a down payment to a home for a home. That's something we can look. We have to think out of the box, and we have to try to get this, get this stuff done to build generational wealth again. And I think there's so many options out there. The problem is there's a lot of people who have different ideas. They're just not listened to because we keep electing the same core politicians, and they've left so many people out of the process. I feel like we bring these people back in, we can solve a lot of our issues if we just open it up to new ideas from all these people. And I'm talking middle of the road Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, and independents. You open it back up and get ideas flowing again, we're going to be able to solve a lot of our problems, or at least be on the road to solving these problems. But we've been shut out of the system for far too long.
How do you grow the economy and attract new businesses?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
How do you grow the economy and attract new businesses?
Well, we have to be open to it. I mean, we're just not open to it. Part of the problem, this is part of the transparency issue too, is, for example, we've had issues where this is little, but it's big for small businesses. Plastic bag bans, right? So we're told that we have to charge 10 cents for a paper bag, get rid of plastic bags, which, if you're a takeout business or anything like that, and this is for small businesses, you pay for plastic bags well in advance. So you're paying all this money for plastic bags. This is just a little thing but it's a knock to small business. And part of the problem too is that businesses are not listened to in the city of Pittsburgh. We aren't. The city treats us as though, we're needed, but it doesn't matter what we think because it's a privilege to work in the city and own a business in the city. Well, we can, because we're only 55 square miles, we can hop over the river and be in a different area that's more, accepting of businesses, and they listen to us a little bit more. I think that's part of the problem. Even the governor of Pennsylvania says he's tired of losing out. He's tired of losing out to other states. Well, personally, I'm tired of losing out to other counties and other states nearby here and other regions. We have to be competitive again. And every industry is different. It's different. Every industry has a success path. They have different, they're affected differently by each ordinance. We just have to listen to what they have to say and then make decisions based off that. We just haven't done that. We haven't done it for a long time. How
do you attract and keep young people in the city?
I think the economy. The economy is huge. So I have friends across the political spectrum, family across the political spectrum. And they all have the same complaints when it comes to the city of Pittsburgh. One of it is the tax. Taxes are high. So you have a lot of single people who, they might start it out in the city of Pittsburgh. They'll live in the city of Pittsburgh. They're excited about the city. They want to make change. And then they start thinking, oh man, if I just cross this river, I'm saving 3% of my income just by a move. If you have families, you have a family, you're single, you meet the love of your life, you want to have kids. There's a reason why families don't stay in the city. One, it's crime, but two, it's also taxes, and it's also schools. And the city and the schools have to work together to make it better. I mean, there's a reason why families leave, and they're like, the school districts are not good. The school district is not good. Unfortunately, the mayor doesn't have a lot to do with that because you have a school board, but you can work together to make things work. I think it's coming around. I think people are starting to realize on the school board that the schools are one of the reasons why families are leaving the city of Pittsburgh. So it's a multi-level thing. Everyone has their own reason for leaving, but when you listen to your friends and business owners from across the political spectrum, you realize they all have the same complaints, and they're not being addressed.
Would you encourage the city's large nonprofits to pay into city services, and if so, how?
Definitely. Part of the problem is for the last, as long as I can remember, they've been attacked. So you have to think these businesses from other nonprofits, you're talking about hospitals, you're talking about colleges, they've been attacked, but they employ so many people in the city of Pittsburgh. We're talking thousands of people in the city of Pittsburgh. They have an interest in the future of the city of Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, because we've been ruled by one party for 100 years, they've not had the privilege, I wouldn't say privilege, but they haven't been able to work with anybody else besides this core group of politicians. And this core group of politicians seem to always want to attack them. I would come at them and be like, listen, let's work together. You want the city to succeed, obviously, because you're here. You're putting money in here. You give to charities. You make the city work. You're part of the city, and you have to be part of the city's future. So I'm coming at you as a newly elected mayor, thinking differently. So let's sit down, figure out what we can do, but you have to pay into it, and they know they have to pay into it. They want the city to succeed. Unfortunately, like I said, they're attacked every time they turn around. And when you come at them and attacking them, they're not going to want to put their best foot forward. And so I think let's try something new. Let's get out of this trap that we've had of the core politicians and come at it with somebody like myself, who's a business owner, who wants to make this work, who wants the best for the city of Pittsburgh. If you look at who's running on the Democrat side, they're all politicians. They've been politicians all their life. I'm a business owner. I have my business to lose if, who knows what happens. I'm putting my neck out there on the line. They don't have anything to lose except for maybe a job, which they can get a job again in politics coming forward. So they can tell you whatever they want. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you how I feel, and I'm telling you what I want to do. And plus, I have to prove myself to you because you're taking a risk to vote for somebody outside this core group. So I feel like I'm doing what I can. I'm laying it out there. And I feel like, I would be a breath of fresh air for nonprofits, the nonprofits. They want to work with us. I'll come at it differently, and we can get it done.
What do you see as the city's greatest infrastructure needs, and how do you address those?
Well, we've had fallen bridges, if you've noticed at all. Bridges have actually fallen, and they were ignored for so long that after a while, the city's like, oh, well, maybe we should probably get a group together to check these bridges out and do something about it because they just haven't been dealt with. And right now, if you go by the Phipps Botanical Gardens in Oakland, there's a bridge there that's closed right now because it's not safe for traffic. Well, that's a big but a big road going from Oakland to Squirrel Hill. You had the Fern Hollow Bridge collapse not that long ago. There was a Port Authority bus on it, and there were people on it. We're talking about, who has a city that bridges just fall? Just because they're not taken care of. We have to look at our budget. We have to put priorities up there. Public safety, and that comes from the public safety. I don't want to be on a bridge. I'm sure you wouldn't want to be on a bridge if you came to Pittsburgh and think, man, am I going to fall on this bridge? Nobody wants that. We have to take care of it. There's no ands, if, or buts about it. That comes to budgetary priorities.
There have been significant changes in federal policy since the beginning of the year. If you were elected, would you cooperate with federal efforts to deport undocumented immigrants?
I feel like from what's happening right now, the ICE situation, that's an issue that's come up in the city. Both the mayor now and the other Democrat running for mayor says he would not allow police to work with ICE. What they're doing right now and what they're saying they're doing is removing, illegal immigrants who are criminals, who have like a criminal past, who've been arrested over and over and over again. And with the mayor, the number one priority is public safety. I would never ask a police officer to violate an oath they took, a state oath, local oath. I would never, ever do that. But if you are a violent criminal I don't care if you are an illegal immigrant. I don't care if you are a city resident. You cannot be out on the streets.
Before we run out of time, I'd like to give you an opportunity to tell our viewers why you would like them to elect you for the Republican candidate for mayor of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think I'm new. I'm new. I'm coming at this from my heart. Like, I'm a business owner, a small business owner in the city of Pittsburgh. I love this city. I'm not in it for anything else except for putting the city back on track. Anyone who has lived in the city, they know the complaints. They know their own complaints. And these complaints have lasted since I was born. I mean, this is back to 1976, right? Since I was born, we're having the same complaints. The city has been on the same trajectory, and that's downward or stagnant at best. We cannot survive like that. If we drop 2,000 more people, we are a third-tier city. We cannot let that happen. We are a legendary city. We have so much going for us. The problem is we are trapped by these same core politicians that are in it for name recognition. I don't know, because nothing's ever getting done. So I don't know exactly why they're in it, but they're in it and things aren't being done. We've had one party control for the last 100 years in the city of Pittsburgh since 1934. There are a lot of good Democrats out there with good ideas, independents, Republicans, libertarians. We've been left out of the system for far too long. It is time to change that, because we have ideas that can help solve these issues. Let's look past the letters, D and R, which is going to be on this next mayoral election. And let's think about policy. I'm tired of hearing complaints. I'm tired of having complaints. Let's start putting the city back on track. It's going to take all of us doing it. But there is nothing wrong with, after 100 years of one party control, to say we need something different. It's needed. One party control leads to no transparency and no accountability, because it doesn't have to happen. There's no one there to hold them accountable. So let's change that. I'm excited about the city of Pittsburgh. I'm excited about the future of the city of Pittsburgh. I feel like some of our best days can be ahead. We've just been too complacent with how things are right now. And I want to be competitive again. I want to be one of these cities that you hear about all the time that is growing, and like the Austins, the Charlottes, the Atlantas, the Miamis, the Dallas. I mean, these are cities that we used to be, and because we've become complacent, it's just we've been left out of the conversation. Let's get back in the conversation. I'm excited about it. So I hope you vote for me. I mean, I hope I get a lot of support, which I am getting a lot of support across the political spectrum. But I'm not out to ruin things. I'm out to make things better. And I think we can all do it with all these people who've been left out of the system for far too long.
Thomas West is a Republican running for mayor of Pittsburgh. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.